I started to feel better and better as the summer went on. Played a lot. Just getting worn down, but I was ready to keep on going. I started, like I said, feeling more and more comfortable as the weeks went on, and felt great this week. Really didn't, make a whole lot or take advantage of how I was hitting it, until I made a few yesterday to kind of get back and get things going.
In 2025, Rickie Fowler had become almost invisible to fans. Not in score updates, not in highlights, he was absent from the conversation entirely. The 6-time PGA Tour winner wasn't in the top 10s. He had made 9 starts all season, yet there wasn't a single headline carrying his name for anything meaningful. It wasn't an injury. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a sudden personal crisis. It was something far more painful in professional sports: irrelevance. A slow, grinding fade from the spotlight. A whisper where once there had been roars. Reports from Yahoo Sports and Golf Monthly confirmed what fans had feared. Fowler hadn't cracked a leaderboard all season. He was grinding, teeing off week after week, but nothing clicked. The rhythm, the swing, the magic that had once defined his Sundays was gone. When golf stops noticing you, when the crowd moves on, the world shrinks fast. You've only got 2 options: vanish quietly or fight like your career depends on it. In Fowler's case, it wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. His world ranking told the brutal truth: 125th. That number wasn't just bad, it was shocking. For a man who had once been among the top names in the sport, who had ignited stadiums with his swagger and daring shot-making, it was a sign that his career was in the danger zone. Over a decade of success, of being counted among the game's elite, had suddenly boiled down to survival. And make no mistake, Fowler knew it. Every player, every commentator, every casual fan who saw the rankings whispered the same thing: maybe he's done. But Rickie Fowler didn't come back to fade quietly. He came back to fight. Some golfers treat sponsor exemptions like farewells, a polite gesture from tournament organizers, a nod of nostalgia, a reminder that once a name mattered. Rickie treated his exemption differently. He treated it like firepower. A chance not for charity, not for appearances, but for survival. He was a man watching the world move on without him, finally handed one last shot. And Fowler felt it. He felt every stare from the gallery, every question from the media, every doubting whisper. Reporters asked why he deserved to be there. He didn't defend. He fueled. "The negativity actually helps me," Fowler told ESPN at the time. "It motivates me to prove people wrong." That wasn't mere bravado. It was a warning. When doubt turns into drive, when criticism becomes fuel, something dangerous begins to stir. And in Fowler, that fire was long dormant, but not gone. The day started innocuously enough. Hole 1, clean. Hole 2, steady. Hole 3, locked in. By the time he reached 4, 5, and 6, something familiar had returned. Birdie, birdie, birdie. Clean, fearless, and precise. This wasn't a stumble into form. It was a declaration. A stretch ripped straight from vintage Fowler. A reminder that the talent never really disappears. The leaderboard, once indifferent, began to feel the tremor of his presence. By the back 9, the course was electric. Every swing radiated confidence. Every putt felt certain, effortless. And then came the 16th, a downhill, 25-foot putt that most players would tiptoe toward, hoping for par. Not Fowler. He read it like poetry, stroking the ball dead center. The crowd erupted. That wasn't luck. That was clarity, focus, and courage distilled into one perfect motion. The putt was an exclamation point, a symbol of everything Fowler had been through and everything he was reclaiming. The energy shifted around him. Announcers raised their voices. Fans leaned closer. Every step down the fairway felt like a statement. Fowler wasn't surviving anymore. He was taking over, not just competing, commanding. And all of this came from the man who had needed a sponsor exemption just to get his name on the tee sheet. By the time he signed his card on 18, the numbers were clear: a 63, 7 under par, tied with Colin Morikawa, just 2 behind Keith Mitchell's scorching 61. But forget the other scores, the real story wasn't the competition. It was a comeback no one expected. The man who'd been written off, counted out, dismissed, had returned with authority. Fowler's 63 wasn't a hot streak or a nostalgic flourish. It was a warning shot, a statement to players, analysts, and fans alike. Never forget this name. Philadelphia became the stage for a fire long smoldering. Fowler didn't need applause or sympathy. He needed proof to himself and the world that he was still capable of greatness. Every swing carried the weight of a season spent ignored, a world that had moved on, and the stakes he now faced. Every putt, every drive, every calculated risk was a message. He wasn't coasting. He was reclaiming. Fowler's performance wasn't just a number, it was a rebirth. The golfing world had been fractured in 2025. Tours splitting, lawsuits flying, fans divided, sponsors uneasy. In the middle of all that chaos, a familiar name delivered clarity. Fowler reminded everyone why golf mattered. His birdies weren't just points, they were narrative punctuation, a story unfolding in real time. And the fans noticed. The silent army, the orange hats, the diehard supporters who never stopped believing they were back, louder than ever. Social media erupted with clips of that 16th hole putt. The chatter wasn't just hype, it was relief. A beloved player had returned, not in flashbacks, but in full force. Fowler's round wasn't luck or a course fluke. It wasn't a gift. He had earned every birdie with focus, precision, and a quiet intensity that few young stars possess. The golf world had been caught off guard, but those who remembered the old Fowler knew this fire well. The man who once fell short on Sundays was rising again, transforming doubt into momentum, adversity into opportunity. What made this comeback so remarkable wasn't just the score, it was the context. Fowler had struggled for years, watched his world ranking crumble, endured swing rebuilds, coaching changes, and countless quiet exits from tournaments. By early 2025, the once dominant star had become a whisper. But this exemption, a chance offered by nostalgia and respect, had become a spark that caught fire, setting the stage for a narrative even more compelling than any trophy he could have won that week. The round itself told the story. Simple pars to start, steady and calm. Then the birdies came, flowing with ease and fearlessness. Hole after hole, the confidence returned. Every observer felt that the aura of a man who had once dominated majors was back. On the back nine, Fowler shifted gears. Another birdie on 11, a flawless putt on 13, and the iconic downhill 16-footer, perfectly struck, dropped dead center. By 18, he had posted a 63, a round that demanded attention, not because of his statistics alone, but because it marked a shift in the entire narrative surrounding Rickie Fowler. He shared honors with Morikawa, but the spotlight belonged to him. Mitchell may have set the early standard with 61, but Fowler's performance rewrote expectations. He wasn't a contender by tradition. He was a force by resurgence. In a world where fan favorites are often relegated to memory, Fowler reminded everyone that influence and performance are inseparable. His comeback wasn't just a storyline, it was a warning. The clock on his career hadn't stopped. It had simply been paused, waiting for the right moment to ignite. The ripple effect of that round extended far beyond Philadelphia. Media outlets scrambled to adjust coverage. Headlines that had ignored him for months flipped overnight. Fowler went from footnote to front page. Fans, analysts, and fellow players alike had to recalibrate their perception. It wasn't nostalgia, it was undeniable skill, resilience, and determination manifesting in one unforgettable round. The exemption that allowed him entry into the PGA Championship wasn't charity, it was opportunity. And Fowler weaponized it. He didn't just tee off, he asserted dominance, reminding the golfing world that true champions find ways to assert relevance. Every swing, every putt, every birdie carried a message. I belong here. The field may have moved on, but Fowler was not just back, he was reshaping the conversation. Consistency began to return. His scoring average improved, his putting regained its deadly touch inside 10 feet, and his confidence soared. The energy he once carried naturally on Sunday afternoons had returned, tempered now with experience and focus. The difference wasn't just performance, it was clarity. He wasn't rebuilding or experimenting. He was returning to form. And that makes a player dangerous. Not flashy, not nostalgic dangerous. Every opportunity in professional golf comes with pressure. Every exemption, every invite, every start is a chance to validate relevance. Fowler didn't squander it. The 63 at the Truest Championship wasn't a lucky break. It was a roar of defiance. For fans, it was electric. For peers, it was a wake-up call. And for Fowler, it was a reclamation of identity. The comeback wasn't a sprint, it was a campaign. One built on focus, precision, and the hunger of a man who refused to fade quietly. In the chaos of 2025, with fractured tours, divided fans, and uncertainty at every turn, Fowler's resurgence provided a grounding moment. Golf needed clarity, a hero, a familiar face reminding everyone why the sport still captivated hearts. The 63 wasn't just about points on a leaderboard, it was a symbol, a thread reconnecting fans to a sport they feared had lost its spark. Fowler's return became the narrative the PGA Tour had been craving. And the story didn't stop there. Every swing he took post-Philadelphia carried expectation, belief, and a warning. The hunger of the seasoned veteran, fueled by years of being ignored, turned into momentum that could reshape the season. If rising stars command attention, returning legends command belief. And Fowler had reminded the world, greatness doesn't expire, it waits for moments like this. By the end of the year, the narrative was clear. Fowler had reclaimed relevance not with trophies, but with presence, rhythm, and mastery. The 63 was no anomaly. It was the ignition point for what could become one of the sport's most remarkable comebacks. Analysts, fans, and players alike had to reconsider assumptions. Fowler wasn't fading. He wasn't done. He was back, and this time, he was playing on his own terms. Early 2025 had buried him in silence. No wins, no top tens. Barely a whisper from a man who once dominated majors with swagger. Some players earn their way in. Others get chosen. Fowler was invited back through respect and opportunity, and he transformed that chance into dominance. Philadelphia wasn't nostalgia. It was survival. And survival had never looked so electrifying. From the first tee to the final putt, Rickie Fowler reminded golf why his name mattered. Not as a memory, not as a fan favorite, not as a cautionary tale, but as a living, breathing threat to any field. The 63 was a number. It was a statement, a line drawn in the sand, a signal to the sport that comebacks aren't given they're taken. And Fowler, long counted out, had taken his in spectacular fashion.